Let's talk about how my dad died the same day my son was born. In 2015, I was pregnant with my 5th child, Lincoln. Dad was also diagnosed with cancer right around the same time. Might have been shortly before. I can't exactly remember. But he was diagnosed with lung cancer and was given 9 months to live. So we found out it was a boy. Dad was excited. Best grandpa in the world. He was super excited. We picked out his name. Dad loved it. All the kids had nicknames. Dad had Lincoln's nickname ready. And I was scheduled to go in for a C-section on February 1st. My birthday was January 30th. And the first was on a Monday. My mom called me the Friday prior and said that Dad wasn't feeling well. So we ended up, Life Squad was called, took him to the hospital. He was put into a medically induced coma. At this point, it was like 10 months past his diagnosis. He was already only given 9 months. And in my mind, I was always like, you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Like, if I didn't face it, it wouldn't happen, which I was really bad for. I've gotten over that throughout the years, but I figured if we didn't acknowledge it and accept it, that it couldn't happen, right? So Dad goes to the hospital. He's put into a coma. I'm asked questions like, do I want life-saving measures? Dad had a DNR. He didn't want to suffer. He didn't want the machines keeping him alive. So I'm 9 months pregnant, hysterical in the emergency room, having to make all of these decisions, and Dad's admitted to ICU and put on basically a ventilator to help him. I guess there's issues with his heart. I can't exactly remember what the issue was, but he was basically dying at that point. So I'm at the hospital with him late Friday night, all day Saturday, Sunday. I had to go home Sunday evening because I had to get my stuff ready because I was scheduled to go in and have the baby Monday morning, which was February 1st. So I go in and do that and spend time with my kids before I go in and go in the next morning for my induction. And when I get there, I'm super emotional. It's just not a good time at all. And my husband explains to them, what's going on. And so everybody's filled in and they know that I'm not crazy. I'm just going through it, literally. So I go into surgery, have the baby. He's healthy. Everything went perfect. Could not have gone better. As soon as we go out into recovery, my mom calls and says that she has to get to the hospital now to sign the papers to take Dad off the vent because his body is literally shutting down. So my husband leaves me in the recovery room, in recovery, with the baby, and has to go get my mom because I'm in a different hospital. The hospital I'm delivering at is like 15, 20 minutes away from where my dad was. So my husband leaves me and the baby to go get my mom so that he can take her to the other hospital to sign the papers so that my dad can be removed. The way my mom said it was described was when they signed the papers that it would be a day or two before he actually passed. Well, my husband got there. Him and my mom got to the hospital. My mom signed the papers, and Dad died within like 2.5 hours. So we had other kids that were in school at this time. So my husband, stays with my mom, helps her tie up what she needed to tie up, takes her home, goes and gets our kids from school, brings them up to the hospital. And my best friend was there with me at the time. And when he comes in with the kids, he leans in to hug me and whispered in my ear, he's gone. And I knew it was happening, but I guess I was like, wasn't nothing I could do about it. I couldn't change it. I couldn't ignore it. Like, he was gone. And my kids, Grandpa was it. Best friend in the world. I had to tell my kids, but I'm in the hospital and I'm going to be there for 2 or 3 more days because I had a C-section. So I didn't want to tell them this horrible life-changing news and me not be at home. So as far as they knew, Grandpa's in the hospital and he's sick. So we're trying to figure out like how we're going to do everything. I'm in the hospital. Like, I'm having to talk to people because him and my mom were technically divorced at the time. So I'm the one that had to call, I got a text message, sorry. I'm the one that had to call like the vital statistics and give the information for the death certificate. I don't remember doing that. Like, I did it, but I don't remember doing it because when I got the death certificate back, I'm the person on it that gave the informant. My name's under informant, but I don't remember doing it. But I did. And I'm having to call the funeral home and do all this stuff while I'm in the hospital. Not a good time. 0 out of 10. I do not recommend this. So we get all that done. And like my very last night at the hospital, my husband calls me because he has to go home with our kids. My mom's beside herself. We don't have a babysitter. So it was fine. Me and the baby's at the hospital hanging out. He calls me and he was like, Gracie, my oldest, he was like, she knows. But I haven't told her because she went up to him and she was like, Grandpa's dead. Grandpa died, didn't he? And he was like, I couldn't lie to her. What do I tell her? And she was the oldest. She is the oldest. So she could handle it, but that was her best friend. So he was able to explain it to her and talk to her to where she understood and was able to accept it. And then when I got home from the hospital, we sat all the kids down together in the kitchen and told them what had happened. And so all of the kids have some memory of Grandpa, except for Lincoln, of course, and our youngest, Phoenix. But they all have some memory of Grandpa. And Lincoln knows that Papa went to heaven on the day he was born. Like, Lincoln was born at 8:37 in the morning. And Dad passed away at like 1:43, I believe it was. A couple hours apart. And I do believe that Lincoln's birth helped me get through that, because losing a parent was like always my biggest fear in life. And I guess having him help distract me. So every year we celebrate Lincoln and remember my dad. It's been 8 years. And we've had more losses since then, but that was the very first significant loss that our family went through and that I had to face. And that's how it happened.